5-year contract. It's just, I bring it up only because who cares, Scott? It's just mine. Jaren Jackson Jr., good player. Don't get me wrong. $50 million a year. You know, we all bitch and complain about the Juan Soto deals and the Ohtani deals, and you get guys like Jaren Jackson making $50 million a year.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
There's now 7 different directors of analytics for like the Raptors, the Chiefs, where you can see us all like workshopping these ideas in these threads because golf is so ubiquitous amongst gamblers. And so that was like the most popular non-poker forum was the golf sub-forum. And then once we started thinking about once I realized in 2013 that Brody's book was coming out, I just thought stroke chain putting was it.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I'm saying I like their odds because I think they're insane at this point, but I do think they are a very viable option.
I don't even think their odds are that insane. Honestly, they won 64 games.
So you like this move for them?
Well, so the odds...
Regardless of the odds, just from a basketball.
Yeah, the odds have nothing to do with it. They won 64 games. They were eliminated by the Pacers, who lost Halliburton. The other 60-win team was the Celtics, and they lost Tatum. I think...
And the Knicks don't have a coach.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
You want to take that gap year and trade LeBron James somewhere and get value, legitimate value for a 41-year-old player, LeBron James, I still think, in return. I think you have to explore that because if LeBron wants to win a title, we've heard so much buzz for, I think, 3 or 4 years now, Kevin, about Stephen Curry and LeBron James wanting to eventually play together. This might be that moment here. If you're the Golden State Warriors, why not make that call? I think that's something to watch out for.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish, getting ready to get your July 4th holiday started. We'll break down the latest in the National Basketball Association. Lots of free agency news, including the Los Angeles Lakers finally getting their big man. Also some news and notes on sports betting going on across the country. One popular daily fantasy company battling back and forth in the state of California. Also some special guests on the show as well. Simon Applebaum will be with us from the podcast tomorrow. We'll be televised. We'll go over the very latest in ratings and naturally get you ready for the very big Nathan's hot dog eating contest tomorrow. No, probably not. We'll touch on everything else here on the show. Let's get started. And this is the story that I just alluded to before. In the state of California, Underdog trying to keep operations there. Of course, legally, you cannot bet on sports, but you can play some daily fantasy sports games. But a Superior Court of California in Sacramento has denied Underdog's application to prohibit the California Attorney General, Rob Bonta, from releasing a legal opinion regarding the legality of daily fantasy sports. So this potentially could block daily fantasy sports operators from doing business in California. And Underdog is saying basically this is a large percentage of the money that we make across the country in California operating in DFS. As of right now, we'll see what continues, but it does give the ability to the state to block Underdog and other companies from operating within their state. The New York Knicks finally have their new head coach. It's a familiar name. He's been around the league. His name is Mike Brown. You know who he is. He's coached the Warriors, the Spurs, the Cavs, the Lakers, the Kings, and now he's the head coach of the New York Knicks. He's been an assistant also in San Antonio under Greg Popovich. Mike Brown, of course, coached LeBron James in Cleveland before. Now he's got a new gig. We know the Knicks have tried to hire several coaches, and they made the announcement official yesterday. So this comes off a season where the Knicks had a really good year, and Tom Thibodeau was the head coach, but they let him go at the end of the year. Brown takes over next year. I mentioned the New York Knicks, and let's get to the Los Angeles Lakers, because it looks like they finally found their big man next to Luka and LeBron. DeAndre Ayton signs a contract worth more than $30 million with the Lakers. He'll turn 27 on July 23rd. He averaged 14 points and 10 rebounds, shot 56% from the field last year. So that's the new big three in LA: DeAndre Ayton, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic. How about the big number in Major League Baseball last night? That was 3,000 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. He hit that number yesterday, joining the club, fourth left-hander to reach 3,000, joining Randy Johnson, Steve Carlton, and CC Sabathia. He's one of 3 active pitchers, along with Verlander and Scherzer, to hit the mark. Kershaw, future Hall of Famer, talked about the accomplishment last night.
Yeah, I made it interesting for sure. Made it take too long. Honestly, didn't pitch that great tonight. Slider was so bad, but this was such a special night all the way around. It really was. Couldn't have asked for anything more, really. It just was. It was so fun to get to be out there, and after the 5th, thankfully I got 1 strikeout in the 5th, so it was only 1 that I needed left, and. It's a little bit harder when you're actually trying to strike people out. I've never really had to do that before. It was hard. You give the White Sox credit too; they didn't make it easy on me at all. So it was a tough night all the way around. But what a way to end it with Freddie coming up clutch there, and just to see the fans' reaction and running back out there for the 6th and hearing that crowd roar was up there for me in special moments. It really was. So. Just super thankful for tonight, super thankful for my teammates. I told my teammates, individual awards are great, but if you don't have anybody to celebrate with, it's just, it doesn't matter, And so to have that room full of guys, coaches, strength staff, training staff, front office, everybody, just really, be happy for me is just awesome. And they were in it with me, and it was an amazing night. So just a lot of gratefulness on this end for sure.
No doubt first ballot Hall of Famer in Clayton Kershaw. The Atlanta Braves could use a Hall of Famer or 2 these days. They lose another pitcher. This time it's Spencer Schwellenbach. Fractured elbow, placed on the 15-day IL. It's going to be longer than that. Braves are having a tough season, just got a little bit tougher. Meanwhile, the Mets trying to turn things around. They played a doubleheader against the Brewers yesterday. They end up splitting the doubleheader. The Brewers win the first game 7-2. The Mets come back and win the second game 7-3, and a lineup change now for the Mets, switching up Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo. Could that get the Mets going? Here's Carlos Mendoza.
Carlos, what do you think of the Nimmo Lindor 1-2 switch? The way it worked out.
It's baseball, I'm going to make a lot of decisions, whether it's when I'm making out a lineup, when I'm making a pitching change, as you guys saw it, and they're going to work, and they're not going to, when they don't work, it's on me. When they work, it's on the player. I mean, that's as simple as that, Look, when you're talking about 2 really good players, for me as a manager to make those type of decisions is a lot easier when they're all in, I didn't have to talk to him today in between games because every time I go up to him, hey, what do you think about 5-hole? What do you think about cleanup? What do you think about 2-hole? Like, the same answer is always the same. I'll do whatever you need me to do. Pull Lindor in between games. Congrats to him on the All-Star selection. So, and I use that about, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And the first thing he said is, whatever you feel is best for the team, I'm all in. So, like, when you get superstars that are willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win a baseball game, as a manager, that's all you need. That is a privilege for me. And I'm glad that, they went out there and they executed and we got good results today.
Phillies and Padres also played a doubleheader yesterday. They end up splitting, like most teams do. San Diego wins game 1, 6-4. Philly wins game 2, 5-1 behind Christopher Sanchez. My gosh, the Phillies could have 3 starting pitchers at the All-Star game in Atlanta. Here's Rob Thompson on Sanchez's start yesterday, which appears to be just like Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez and everyone else.
He's been just like the rest of them, really. Just wonderful. Strike throwing ability, the changeup is swing and miss, the sinker. Other than there might have been a couple of balls hit hard off him tonight. So much soft contact. He's been unbelievable. He really has.
A little bit earlier in the season. This is 4th straight start without allowing someone. What do you think?
He's just attacking. He's attacking the zone. He's trusting his stuff. He's just letting it eat.
Good news for the Philadelphia Phillies. Patrick Bailey also hits a sacrifice fly in the 10th. The Giants' losing streak is over. They beat the Diamondbacks last night. Also, the Twins snapped the Marlins' 8-game winning streak. Final score 2-1. Don't blame me. It was not my fault. I'm not the jinx. All right, the Blue Jays wasted an 8-run lead. Then they outlast the Yankees 11-9. Guess who's in first place? The Blue Jays are tied with the Yankees. How about that in the American League East? Here's Aaron Judge on how things have gone south.
You guys have lost 13-19. Blue Jays caught you for first place. First time you're not alone since middle of April. Is that concerning, or do you just say that's part of a long season?
No, it's a long season. We got to play better. That's what it comes down to. We play better, we'll put ourselves in a better position, but it's not concerning. We're not concerned about what's going on around us. We got to control what we do in this room and what we do out there on the field. And, we're not getting the job done right now. So that's what it comes down to. We can't focus on what other people are doing and who catches us, who doesn't catch us, where we're at. You just got to play better, and that's what it comes down to.
Aaron, why do you think there hasn't been consistency the last couple of weeks with this team?
It's tough to say. It's a long season. We're going to go through 2 of these a year. Every good team does. And we'll answer these questions just like this, but it comes down to us just playing better. We're not playing good baseball, so a couple things we got to clean up, and we'll be right back where we need to go. So, we can't sit here and, put any more pressure on ourselves or worry about certain things. We just got to show up tomorrow and do our thing.
A couple other finals. Reds beat the Red Sox 8-4, and the Rays finally get a win against the A's. They win in the top of the ninth, scoring a few runs. 6-5, the final there. We'll take a quick time out here on Wire. When we come back, the latest on the newest member of the 3,000 strikeout club, Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News, weighs in on Clayton Kershaw next.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Let's bring in Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News, the very latest on Major League Baseball's All-Star Game and also the latest on the Los Angeles Dodgers future Hall of Famer. Matt, thanks for coming on the show. So Clayton Kershaw does inevitably get to 3,000 strikeouts last night. And, he's a bona fide first ballot Hall of Famer. We just, haven't seen that much of him over the last couple of years, which is natural. But, here we are with Max Scherzer at the end of his time and Verlander. And, the only one going strong right now is Kershaw. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's what's really interesting about where he's at in his career is you look at last night, and it was not a very good start. It for a while didn't look like he was going to get his third strikeout. Honestly, it kind of didn't look like he might make it out of the first inning for a little bit, but he battled and he got through 6 innings and he got the 3 Ks. We got the big moment for the 3,000th and all that good stuff. And ultimately, the Dodgers wind up winning that game. What's amazing about him right now is they actually really need him, like giving the injuries to their rotation and all their pitchers and what they've dealt with. They need him to pitch well, and he certainly hasn't been his vintage self. No one would expect him to be, but he's been solid. He's been serviceable, and even last night when he was clearly fighting it from inning one and struggling, he did enough to get through those 6 innings and give them a chance later in the game. And so it's a weird juxtaposition. This isn't just a retirement tour where he's going out and the games don't really matter. Obviously, he's playing for one of the best teams in baseball, and he's in a position where they actually need him to do well. So it was actually kind of really fun watching the game for that reason last night, on top of all the history and just celebrating his great career.
Yeah, agreed. And it has been a fantastic career. I mean, 3 Cy Youngs and 10 All-Stars, and he's won a couple of World Series. And second he retires, he's headed to Cooperstown. There's no doubt about that. Same could be said, I think, for Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. They're still active, by the way, with over 2,000 strikeouts. Kershaw gets his 3,000. Uh, Chris Sale, I mean, he's on track, man. I mean, I'm guessing Sale is going to be the next one. He's got 2,500 and then some work to do with some other players like Garrett Cole. Charlie Morton, stunning the fact that he's got over 2,000 strikeouts. And really, his career didn't start until 5 years in. And Yu Darvish is on the back nine at this point. He hasn't even pitched this year. But I guess Sale is the one that I look at and say he's got a pretty good shot to do it. I don't know about Cole. I mean, I would think Cole could still continue to pitch several more years, but we just don't know because he's been hurt.
Yeah, that's just it. And that's why it's so tough when you project out anything like this, where nowadays with injuries and how careful teams are with their pitchers, both, coming out of an injury too, where they're going to have reduced innings and things like that. It's just such a difficult thing to do. And to get 3,000 strikeouts is definitely not something people should take for granted, because you look at that list and think, oh, okay, well, like you said, Sale, yeah, he'll get there. Maybe Cole. These guys are great pitchers. It feels like they have, a few years left at the very least, if not several more, but you just never know. The injury bug is just prevalent at all times. So it'll be fun to watch some of these guys try to make a run at it and make history. But in the meantime, we should just enjoy the history that we just saw, and again, not take it for granted.
Another injury for the Braves last night. Spencer Schwellenbach, fractured elbow. I mean, this is probably going to be almost season ending, if not that. Another season of injuries. Smith Shawver goes down. Schwellenbach goes down. I know that they want to, I know Alex Anthopoulos wants to still be in this thing and wants to be buyers. And I got to tell you, on the one hand, Matt, I agree with him, because next year this team should be back and loaded, but it just doesn't feel like this is their year.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. I think you and I have both been optimistic. We've talked before about, hey man, watch out for the Braves. Still a lot of season. That's still such a talented and kind of loaded lineup. And when you look at the batting order, it looks good. It still looks good on paper. We saw it last night. But man, these injuries to the rotation, it just feels like it's become too much to overcome. And with the hole they dug themselves at the beginning of the year, I just have a hard time seeing it. Is it realistic that they can make a run? Of course, but there's just so many teams in front of them too. Never mind the teams that right now are in those playoff spots, but the teams in front of them still fighting to try to get into that final wild card. It's a lot. It's a lot for them to deal with. And these injuries, you just have to assume they're going to take their toll. So I have a hard time seeing them really making a legit run at the postseason. But to your point, does that mean they're sellers? That seems a little short-sighted as well. I mean, maybe trade a couple guys here or there, but you obviously don't want to, give up something big like you're in a full rebuild, because I don't think they're quite there either. So they're kind of in a no man's land. And when you're in that situation, I think you might as well play it out here through the rest of this month, see where you are closer to the end of the month, and then you make a decision. But yeah, it just feels like just a snake bitten curse season for the Braves once again.
Yeah, I mean, if they win 6-7 in a row, it puts them right back in the mix. But time is running out on that, and if they're not sellers, look at these other teams that were projected to be in the postseason run that may not be. The Orioles at this point far-fetched think that they could jump back in. Cardinals are in it, but it feels like they'd rather be sellers than buyers. And the Diamondbacks, I know they're saying all the right things about wanting to push, but the record certainly has not indicated that. A lot of good names, by the way, on Arizona, I would add, if they do decide to do this. But it feels a little bit like, Matt, they're in the similar situation to the Braves, that would it be short-sighted to punt and send Gallen out or Eugenio Suarez or Merrill Kelly when maybe they could even come back next year? It's a tough call.
Yeah, I think they're close enough right now that they can stay in it and again, reassess here in a little bit. But that team, very interesting to me. I think you could even add Cleveland to that list as another team with a bunch of talented players who, aren't out of it, but it doesn't look great right now, just kind of the way they're playing and where they're at. Maybe even Boston to some degree. These are teams with some really talented players, some really nice pieces that a lot of teams would like. And, they're going to kind of hold a lot of chips at the deadline for sure. And they'll just have to assess where they are, because you get to that last wild card spot, you get in there, that's great. We know how it works in baseball. Anyone's got a chance. You can ride a couple of hot pitchers, but at the same time, are you realistically going to win that World Series title? It's tough. So yeah, to me, the Diamondbacks, extremely interesting team. In Baltimore, like you mentioned, a lot of really talented players too. We know the young core is off limits, but they still have some really talented veterans. The reason why so many of us thought they were going to be better than they've been this year. And those are the types of guys that a lot of teams would really like to get their hands on, add a veteran back to their lineup, and do some damage in the postseason. So I would expect that we'll see them selling off a few pieces.
Matt, happy July 4th. Thanks for coming on the show. We'll see you next week.
All right, I appreciate it.
Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News. Up next, Robert Linnehan joins us from Sport Radar. Is Underdog's time running out in the state of California? He weighs in on the latest legal battle next on
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Great to have Robert Linnehan of Sport Radar here on the show. We're going to go over some of the latest legal battles in sports and daily fantasy and sports betting as well. Robert, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Let's start off here with this latest story here from Underdog, very popular daily fantasy operator that certainly has put out some numbers that show that their success financially in the state of California is very, very obvious. They need to keep operating within the state, but the state of California seems to be on a different page here. What does the future hold for Underdog in California?
Well, Craig, thank you very much for having me on. Yeah, this has been a very busy legal week for Underdog and DFS operators in California. So basically, I know that you know the backstory, but Underdog basically filed a temporary restraining order against California's Attorney General, Rob Bonta, trying to bar him from releasing a legal opinion on the legality of daily fantasy sports in California. As you know, daily fantasy sports operates in a gray market in the state, meaning that it's not regulated, it's not licensed, it's not taxed, it's not legal, but it's also not illegal. So operators such as Underdog and FanDuel and DraftKings have been operating DFS contests in the state for years. However, it recently came to light that Attorney General Bonta will be releasing a legal opinion potentially today, giving his opinion that DFS contests in the state are illegal. Underdog filed a temporary restraining order. That temporary restraining order was denied yesterday by a Sacramento Superior Court judge. Basically, Judge Rockwell argued that Underdog had 18 months to file a restraining order. Obviously, they filed the order on June 30th. And they also did not effectively show that they would suffer irreparable harm if this opinion is released. So basically what this says is Attorney General Bonta can release his opinion. It is expected that he says DFS contests in the state are illegal, and it kind of sets everything in a waiting game right now for these operators. The opinions are just that. They're his opinion, but it is the opinion of the Attorney General in California that the games are illegal. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of these operators react to this news and react to this opinion.
Yeah, it definitely will be, especially for not just Underdog, but everybody operating in the state of California. They don't want sports betting, maybe not daily fantasy. That would hurt a lot of sports fans out there. All right, so prediction markets has been, Robert, the big story of this year. They're operating under the idea that this is not sports betting, very similar to the stock market. And FanDuel, DraftKings, at least initially, showed some pushback here, saying, "Wait a second, these folks are able to operate without paying taxes like us." And then all of a sudden, we saw maybe one of these companies even want to partner up with some of these prediction market companies, realizing that they may not be in a winning battle here. So what will the end of the year show with Kalshi and some of these prediction markets?
Well, it's interesting, Craig, because, last year, nobody had really ever even heard of sweepstakes operators or prediction markets. I mean, it certainly wasn't on our radar, but once Kalshi and Robinhood started offering sports event contracts. Basically, they say it's not sports betting. Certainly operators like FanDuel and DraftKings say it is sports betting, where you can trade contracts on the outcome of games. It's been a topic of great interest for the industry and for reporters like myself. Right now, Kalshi has filed lawsuits in New Jersey, Ohio, and Nevada that basically stem from their respective gaming commissions ordering Kalshi to cease and desist their offerings of sport event contracts in the state. Kalshi, of course, says that states have no bearing on what they can offer, that they're only regulated by the federal government, by the CFTC or the Commodity Exchange Act. So you're having sort of these lawsuits in all of these states where basically the outcome is going to determine if they can offer these sport event contracts. Obviously state gaming commissions say that they should be able to regulate what is essentially sports betting. Kalshi is saying they have no bearing. And until some of the courts decide what happens, we're just going to have to wait and see.
Robert, great stuff. Great analysis. Thanks again for coming on NewsWire. Happy July 4th holiday.
Thanks for having me.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Mark Zinno of SportsGrid here with us to break down the latest in Major League Baseball. We'll also take a look at some of the afternoon baseball games as well. Great to have you back here, Mark, on the show. Ahead of the big holiday coming up here. Of course, everyone playing on July 4th tomorrow, but the fireworks are going on in the American League East as the Toronto Blue Jays have made this run to catch the Yankees, and the Rays are right there too. Wow, what a division. Blue Jays win yesterday, 11-5. A couple days ago was George Springer. The offense of the Blue Jays has really come alive here. And the Yankees' odds have certainly fallen from -300 down to -160 over the last couple of weeks. You think that's a fair move, Mark? Or do you think that the Yankees just going through what most teams go through?
I would argue it probably should have been -160 to begin with because the Yankees aren't that good. They're a poorly constructed roster. They're even more poorly coached. They have a shaky bullpen at best. They have nobody in the lineup that you can trust other than Aaron Judge. So it's Aaron Judge and Nate Jabroni's getting up to the plate every single night. And this is absolutely a team that doesn't feel like they are capable of winning a World Series. They're good enough to hang on and make the playoffs? Sure they are. But this is not a World Series roster. Aaron Judge cannot do it all by himself. Despite his October struggles, them getting there right now is probably the bigger issue. Are they in a little bit of a swoon? Yes. Will they probably pop out of it? Sure. But what we've seen from this offense over the course of the last month has been pretty bad. And that has nothing to do with starting pitching injuries or anything like that. That has everything to do with the fact that the guys who were hitting the ball in the first month of the year, whether it was Paul Goldschmidt or Cody Bellinger, remember Goldschmidt got off to that great hot start. Even Ben Rice was hitting the ball at the ballpark early on. All those guys cooled off. And even Aaron Judge came back down to earth. So he's not batting 400. He's only batting 300. But that's not enough to carry the other 8 guys in this lineup who can't hit. And the 5 guys on a rotating basis every night who are batting around 200, who you've never heard of otherwise if you're not a Yankee fan. And that's what this team is right now. It's not fun to watch. And last night's loss was emblematic of kind of where they are. Dig themselves this huge hole, to dig themselves out of it, only to give it to the guy that they paid millions of dollars to in the offseason who lost his closer job to blow it in the 8th inning.
Yeah, it's been a tough back end for the month of June and into July for the Yankees. Same could be said for the Mets. But the Mets were happy, Mark, to get a doubleheader yesterday, because usually what happens is you get to win one of those games, and that's what happened. They split it. 7-2 Brewers win, Mets win 7-3, tinkering with the lineup a little bit, seeing if that will work. Nimmo, Lindor switching spots. And today the Mets are minus 162 against the Brewers on the money line before the Brewers leave town and head here, where I am, to South Florida for July 4th. What do you make of tonight's game, 7:10 Eastern?
I mean, I like the Mets in the game. I'm not too crazy about the prices here. I would tell you that David Peterson is great at home. He's got a 2.22 ERA. He's only allowed one home run at home on the year, and opposing hitters are batting just 204 against him at Citi Field. Jose Quintana has been very good as an underdog, but the Mets handle left-handed pitching pretty well. And, Jose Quintana's numbers as a dog are good, but that was last year when he was with the Mets. I know the Brewers score a ton on the road here and have all season long, but I trust David Peterson. You got two lefties going on the mound here, and I think the Mets, maybe, you look at this. Here's the problem. I don't know if I want to give the Brewers all 9 at bats. So maybe be willing to lay a half run in the first 5 with the Mets. Hopefully they can get up to Quintana early, but David Peterson should do his job here, especially early.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the Mets have a great shot tonight. The Cubs will take on the Guardians. The Cubs are playing great baseball. Their win total right now, by the way, up to 94.5. They have a couple of all-stars in the outfield, Tucker, Pete Crow, Armstrong. I guess Armstrong has really been the big surprise overall in baseball, the way that he has surged, because he has helped the Cubs get to where they are. And I would imagine, Mark, that this will be one of those teams at the deadline, too, that is going to feel really strongly about their ball club. The great trade that they made for Kyle Tucker has worked out. Now, if they could only get the pitching going outside of some big surprises like Matt Boyd, they could be formidable.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people felt coming into this season, Craig, the Cubs didn't do enough, right? Like they were the team that's a big market team. They have money to spend. All these other small market teams in the NL Central, and the Cubs really didn't do anything. Well, they got a lot of bats and they got a lot of hits, and they hit well, particularly on the road. So this is a team right now that I think, starts to pull away from this division the deeper we get into the season, because their bats are really hard to stop at this point in time. And it's a question of, do you believe they can get to 95 wins? I think they should be able to, but you have to remember, some of the teams at the bottom of the NL Central, whether it's the Pirates or the Reds or wherever it may be, they are teams that still contend with them pretty closely. So it's not like in the NL West where it's the Rockies, there's this major drop off. We just saw the Pirates shut out the Cardinals in a series in 3 straight games. So that ought to tell you that it's going to be a little bit tougher to sort of waltz through this division, but I think they start to widen the gap. And the Cubs they may create enough space here if the NL West continues to cannibalize themselves, where they get a crack at the number 1 overall seed in the National League.
So is the National League crowded, or is it done? Let me show you real quick here some of the odds, where the Mets, certainly we know that they're stacked, and they're just, I think they just had a bad month. I think they'll be fine. So here are the other teams: Milwaukee, San Diego, the Cardinals, the Giants, and the Reds. Do you feel like all those teams are in it, Mark?
I do. The Padres and Giants have the biggest problem of cannibalization with each other, right? And the entire rest of the NL West, save the Rockies. I mean, those 4 teams, adding in the Dodgers and the D-backs, are going to be eating each other up for the entire summer. So those are the teams I worry about the most, sort of suffering through this whole thing here. But I look at a team like the Brewers, think that, again, they can get there. I'm not a big believer in the Cardinals. I think they're better than what their record shows, but in the same respect, I see some warts with that team that kind of alarm me a little bit. Again, they may have hit a June swoon into July here with the bats, where things haven't gone well. They have to snap out of it. I think the Mets get right. I think the Mets end up winning the NL East, and I think it's because they have the better bullpen. Philly is going to start to fall apart from a bullpen standpoint, a pitching standpoint, as we go deeper into the year and injuries start to become more paramount. So I still think the Mets are in the driver's seat here to make the postseason, but I don't think they should be thinking wild card. I think they should be thinking division.
Yeah, and as far as the rest of the division, we talked about the Braves. Feels like that's probably the final blow yet, losing Spencer Schwellenbach. Clearly the Phillies are going to have the starting pitching, and they're going to add too. Do you feel like it is surprisingly a 2-team race? The other team that, to me, Mark, that's been a little bit of a disappointment has honestly been Washington. I didn't think Washington was winning 90 games, but I thought that they would make a push this year.
Yeah, it's interesting because they keep going through these stretches where they can hit the ball and score, but they have such a bad starting staff outside of Mackenzie Gore and Mitchell Parker, right? Everybody else is just trash, and it feels like the bullpen is never going to get corrected. I can't tell you how many games because Washington can't hold on to a 1 or 2 run lead late in the game, and it's really started to hurt them overall. I think the lineup is pretty good. I think it's underrated, but they've got to get the pitching fixed, and the Braves are done. Look, this I've been saying this for a month now that this is not a playoff team. I know Jurickson Profar came back last night, hit a home run. I don't think it's enough for him to carry. They've lost 3 starting pitchers. 3/5 of the rotation is on the IL. 2 of them are on the 60-day IL, and that's a really bad sign. So those guys probably aren't coming back, and there's just not enough there with Ronald Acuna and everybody else to get there. They have plenty of problems in the bullpen. They have no closer really to speak of, and this is not a team that's constructed as a playoff team.
Mark, great to catch up with you here on NewsWire. Really appreciate it. We'll talk down the line, and happy July 4th holiday to you and your family as well.
Same to you, Craig. Thank you.
All right, Mark Zinno joining us here on NewsWire. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Simon Applebaum of the podcast Tomorrow Will Be Televised, over the very latest in ratings and also talk about the NCAA tournament's potential expansion. Also, this weekend with a full slate of Major League Baseball games and a whole lot more, make sure you download the SportsGrid app for the latest news, notes, and information, and also gives you the latest odds on all the games going on. Full slate of day games, rare for a Friday on July 4th holiday, ahead of the fireworks, some NASCAR and golf action going on this weekend, and then we got the British Open coming up real soon as well before we hit the Major League All-Star break. So stick around with us as we get ready to wrap up our week of shows. As a reminder, tomorrow, no NewsWire, 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll be right back here on the show on Monday. So Simon joins us next for the latest on ratings and the potential move for the NCAA tournament to 72 teams. Wow, don't go away.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Simon Applebaum is here to recap the latest in sports television ratings and some sports wagering news as well. Simon, great to have you back here on NewsWire. Really appreciate it. By the way, Simon's podcast tomorrow will be televised, is available anywhere you download your podcast. Simon, great to have you back here. And let's start off with our top story of the day. This is going to be definitely met with some pessimism, I have a feeling, especially the traditionalists who said, all right, if you want to expand the field of 64, go right ahead. But I mean, the NCAA tournament, Simon, going to 76 teams. When are they going to start this thing?
It's certainly clear that, Craig, great to be with you, by the way, and everybody. Happy July 4th weekend to all of our viewers. It looks like the NCAA is trying to put some fireworks into what really is now become one of the great extended sports events. Number one is the Olympics, number two, the World Cup, and number three, certainly March Madness, NCAA men's and women's. As we speak, the NCAA executives are huddling about the idea of taking their tournament, which now has 68 teams, 64 plus 4 in the play-in games on Tuesday and Wednesday, carried on True TV. They're now trying to go to either 72 or 76 teams as early as next year. Now, there's a bunch of things got to deal with. Number one, if they go either 72 or 76, who gets the bids? Is it going to be more for the super conferences, which for the first time in that vein, SEC, AC had its made like 10, 12 teams? Is it going to be giving some of the bids to the mid-majors like the Big East, the Missouri Valley, the West Coast Conference, etc.? Or are some of the one team and that's it conferences like America East or Southland, etc., are they going to get more bids and not just one? So that's one thing they have to deal with. Number two, once they determine whether they go 72 or 76, who gets the games? Will it be CBS or will it be TNT, TBS, and True TV under Warner Bros. Discovery? And then when you figure that out, whoever gets the games, are they going to pay more into the current contract? Are they going to get the games for free? And then when you finish with that, there's a question of when do you play the games? Do you make Tuesday and Wednesday a full day like the first round games on Thursday and Friday of the tournament, where you're going to have games in the daytime and prime time? Or is it going to be just try to put more games on in prime time and do it on multiple networks the way you have in the first and second rounds of the NCAA tournament? So there's a lot that the NCAA has to deal with, but it seems to be very clear that they do want to expand this tournament from where it is now.
All right, and let's move on now to some college sports. And boy, the Pac-12 seems to be turning themselves around a little bit here, Simon. I know they were struggling to keep teams in the conference and struggling with broadcast rights, but they finally have found their deal with CBS and Paramount Plus. At least this gives them some sort of footprint in the space.
It does, depending on how many teams end up in that Pac conference. Right now, it's a Pac-2 conference. Oregon State and Washington State, they have the deal currently with the CW for both football and basketball. Now you have CBS and Paramount Plus getting the mix. That contract is supposed to take place in 2026, and that is when the Pac-2 conference gets 5 teams from the Mountain West, including Boise State, and Gonzaga for basketball from the West Coast Conference, which is their, big team. The question is, are the Mountain West going to let the Pac get these teams, or are they going to put up a fight? We don't know yet. So, and the irony is, by the way, is that right now, CBS, through CBS Sports Network, has a deal with the Mountain West for those games involving Boise State and other key football teams, which they carry on CBS Sports Network in the fall, and basketball, of course, in the winter and spring. So now you have this issue of, is CBS and Paramount Plus going to be in the middle of this whole brouhaha, and what's going to happen in the end? And if the Mountain West does lose these teams to the Pac conference, are they going to get replaced, or is the Mountain West on its way to becoming a collapsed conference? We will have to see. But if they do get these teams, this package for both CBS and Paramount, which, by the way, which is 3 college football games during the regular season, plus the Pac whatever championship, and they'll get 2 or 3 basketball games, including Gonzaga from the West Coast Conference, which will pop into the Pac-12 no matter what. So it's going to be hopefully a good deal for CBS and Paramount Plus, which certainly could raise their college football and basketball profile.
Fox decided to invest in Live Golf. It does not appear that that was a good investment, but sometimes these broadcast companies and streaming companies, Simon, double down and say, let's give it another shot. You think that Live Golf is going to survive on Fox?
I don't think so, because frankly, Fox has done a lousy job of showcasing Live Golf. You don't know from tournament to tournament when it's going to run, whether it's going to be on Fox, whether it's going to be on FS1, or when it's going to be on FS2. The latest tournament, for example, the second round was carried live on Fox with not a lot of publicity, and the third round was carried on FS2, and here in New York was blacked out because of a Mets game on WAW Channel 5. So you have this issue where from tournament to tournament, you don't know when Live Golf is going to run. This has turned out to be a huge fiasco both for Fox and for Live Golf. And of course, we have to wonder now that we're going to be seeing a new PGA Tour Commissioner replacing Jay Monahan, whether we'll finally see that merger between PGA and Live.
Now, finally, Simon, I know you got a very big podcast coming up, so a lot of people home this weekend have time to check it out. You have a very special guest joining you. Who will it be this week?
Yes, we do. And it's today live at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. It's Carol Stiff, the former ESPN executive who for the last 2 years has been running Women's Sports Network. That's the first 24/7 service dealing with women's sports. This is a very rare interview for Carol to do live or pre-recorded, and we have her live. In addition, we have the acclaimed author Dennis Lehane of Mystic River and Gone Baby Gone fame. He is the creator and executive producer of Smoke, the new Apple TV Plus series about arson crime. It's gotten off very, very well. It started last Friday. So we have Dennis Lehane at 3 o'clock, and then 3:30 Eastern, Carol Stiff from Women's Sports Network. It promised to be really special, and you can catch it live on TalkShoe, Facebook, and YouTube, and then on 37 great podcast platforms.
Well, Simon, enjoy your July 4th weekend. I know that you'll be picking Joey Chestnut to win the hot dog eating contest. I mean, unless I don't know something, Simon, I know he's your guy, right?
Yes, he may be the runaway favorite. And by the way, also, in addition to a lot of other great games, the Savannah Bananas are going to be making their Roku debut on Sunday night in a game with the Firefighters live from Fenway Park. We got John Deere Classic, we have NASCAR, we have other auto racing. It's going to be a bonanza of firework and sports this weekend.
Awesome stuff, Simon. Thanks for coming on NewsWire. Have a great weekend. We'll catch up next week.
You too. Enjoy to the fullest.
All right, we'll take a quick time out here on the show. When we come back next, it's time to wrap it all up with some last licks on this July 4th holiday weekend. Make sure you keep it live all weekend long. Our live programming continues, in-game live programming throughout the Major League Baseball slates. Don't forget, the National Football League's got training camp opening up in like 2 weeks. We'll be right back to wrap it up next. Don't go away.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
13.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. As we wrap up the show, quick programming reminder. Tomorrow, NewsWire going to be preempted. We'll be right back here on Monday. Let's get into the latest in sports. We'll touch on a potential heavyweight battle coming from a former YouTuber, an injury to a halftime performer. That's what we do here on the show. Time now for some last licks. All right, let's start off with Jake Paul. Yes, the former heavyweight boxer now moving over into the cruiserweight division because he's going to be eligible to fight for a world title. The WBA have ranked Jake Paul as the 14th best cruiserweight in the world. There's no question that Jake Paul can fight, but the question is, can he beat anybody good? I would say at this point, the answer is probably no. But good for him to, take on somebody that he thinks he could potentially beat. I mean, I think we're all sort of tired of seeing some of these celebrity boxing matches. And by the way, the Mike Tyson fight, while a lot of people watched it, or they could watch it if you could stream it or not, I don't think most people are really interested in continuing to see this. But for his career, it is the right move. So congratulations to him. Maybe he'll end up beating somebody. We will see. All right. Now, you may have or you may not have heard about the ultimately popular Red Panda. Who is Red Panda? A halftime show legend going all over the world on her unicycle and performing for shows here in the United States and abroad. But unfortunately, in case you missed it yesterday, at the WNBA's Commissioner Cup final, Red Panda severely fractured her wrist after falling off the unicycle. Now, she will be out for a few weeks, but there is some hope because she could be ready for the NBA season. And by the way, I'm trying to think how many times I've seen Red Panda. At least once. I don't know if it's more than that. Definitely putting on a fantastic show. But unfortunately, for the time being, it would appear that Red Panda is sidelined. Finally, Greg Popovich and his NBA coaching record have come to a close, but not before there has been a significant adjustment. The NBA has decided, because Popovich did not coach 77 games last season after suffering some health issues, including a stroke, the 32-45 record that Popovich had logged while not coaching will be credited to their new head coach, Mitch Johnson. So that means the winningest coach record in NBA history goes from 1,422 and 869 to 1,390 and 824. I cannot believe Frank put all of this in. I mean, I try to get that out there. Try to say that on live TV. Basically, his record has changed. And so his 13 games under 500 are no more. Does that make more sense? Is that easier for me to say? I think so. I think this is a good place probably to end the show here on July 4th. Okay, so here's what we got coming up today. 3 o'clock Eastern, Pharrell is in the house, coast to coast. So make sure you catch him along with Smiley at noon. That's followed by Front Office Sports from 6 to 6:30. From 6:30 to 8, we have Game Time Decisions. From 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. in-game live game day. And then Gabe will be on Sports Rage tonight. He'll recap everything happening and get your fireworks started ahead of this weekend. Also, I want to thank our guests here on the show, Robert Linnehan for coming on, Simon Applebaum, Mark Zinno, and Matt Lutovsky. Those were the guests on the show today. They did a great job as well. Also, you can stream our shows on the SportsGrid app. It's available for iOS and Android 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you could just take out your phone and scan that lovely little QR code right there. It'll get you all set for the weekend. And by the way, really good streaming options. If those of you who are watching on, let's say, a Vizio or a Samsung TV and you're watching us for free and you'd like to just stream our shows with a phone, you can just scan that QR code and that will take care of it as well. Also, just a reminder, we are back Saturday morning for a recap of the first half of the fantasy baseball season. So make sure you catch that show. That is Fantasy Sports Today, a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. And then Joe Pisapia and Matt Stryker have you covered on Sunday morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern as well. I will see you after the holiday for July 4th, back on Monday morning for our next edition of NewsWire. So here is my top recommendation for the weekend. And Luke, this goes for you. And Frank, this goes for you too. If you're going to be setting off fireworks, use extreme caution. I have seen a lot of issues with this stuff through the years, folks. Please be careful out there. Do not do this. Hire a professional. no injuries this weekend. I know I'm going to see it, but I don't want to see it from any of my viewers and listeners here at SportsGrid this weekend. So be careful, exercise caution. I don't want to seem like the old dad, but I am. What am I going to say? Have a great weekend. Go Joey Chestnut. Enjoy your hot dogs. See you Monday.